Hello everybody, and first off, if my voice sounds a little bit rough, a little bit deep and gravelly, believe me, I am not trying to sound sexy. I have a sore throat at the moment, but let's just carry on. Okay, this picture today, we're going to treat it to an effect which you will see all over the internet, all over magazines. It's where you soften the skin tone so you get a lovely kind of airbrushed effect. It's very easy to do, and a lot of tutorials will tell you half the story, but there is more that can be done once you've applied the basic effect. We'll do that as well. First thing, come up to our layers palette and duplicate. We're going to rename that to base so I know where my base layer is. Always keep a copy of the original there, sitting there in the background if you're doing fairly extensive work. Next thing, there's one or two little blemishes on the skin, so I'm going to come to my healing tool, and then I'm going to take out a spot just there. I'm going to take out a slight birthmark there and there, and a little spot on the cheek. Also, there's a little scar here, which I was kind of tempted to leave on because a little scar on a little toddler's face can be quite sweet. They've been in the wars again, but alright, I've done that. Now, I'm going to do something about the red eye. There's a slight red eye there, but before I do that, I'm going to come to color adjustments, and I'm going to adjust my levels. I'm going to make the darks darker and the lights lighter. If I do the burn first, they're going to look a little bit too dark, so do your overall darkness and brightness first, and then come to our magnifying glass, zoom in, and come to our burn tool. Okay, it's about the right size there, maybe a little bit smaller, and it's set to soft airbrush, standard airbrush, shadows, about 30%, that's fine. Now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 should do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that one still needs a little bit more, still a bit of red there. And they're about balanced there, and a little bit smaller for the brush size. Incidentally, next to the P on your keyboard, you've got these two square brackets. That was me pressing the right one and the left one, about there, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3. No, that's enough. That's fine. And come to zoom to fit. Right, now this is the technique. Pay attention closely. Duplicate the layer, and we are going to come to blur in the effects browser and come to Gaussian. Drag it on there. Bang, everything goes blurred. That's with no effect applied, and as I gradually apply more, it's getting more and more and more blurred. Take a look at that forehead. You can see it's all getting blurred into this nice, generally soft area. I'm going to take that to about 22.1 pixels. Yours will be different depending upon the size of your photograph and your needs. Click on OK. Alright, so far it looks like you're drunk and you're looking at a picture. We don't want that, so we want to come to blending. Remember, we did blending modes in the last tutorial, and we're going to come down to overlay. Bang. Take a look at that. All of a sudden you're getting a chocolate box-like effect. The skin is much softer. The colour's getting quite strong and saturated as well. Now, if you're happy with that, and it's a nice effect, then fine. Just go off and do something else, thank you very much. But I want to take this just a little bit further. Alright, so stick around. We'll do a little bit more. What makes me a little bit uncomfortable about this picture is, take a look at the subject matter. It's clearly just a photograph that was taken spontaneously one spring, summer's day or whatever. Yet it's been given the studio photography look. It's almost got like a chocolate box effect to it on what was originally just a spontaneous picture. It doesn't quite work for me. I want it to look a little bit more natural. Now my problem with it is twofold. All I wanted was some soft skin on the mother, but I've got it all over the place, and especially on the child. They're looking almost unnatural because of it, although it's quite nice on their hair. The other problem is the colours are just too saturated for me as well. So we'll work on that first. We'll come to colour adjustments, and we'll come to hue. And what we're going to do, we're going to take the saturation right back to nothing. And then we're going to gradually bring it up to a level which is looking just a little bit more like the underlying image, which we'll check afterwards. All right, let's try it about there. Check with the underlying image. Okay, the underlying image is just a little bit darker as well, so we'll come to levels. Drop that in there. I'll try and make that maybe just a touch darker. I'll click on reset again, and just a touch there. Alright, let's see that again. It makes sense that with this technique, the colours would appear to be more saturated. If you remember from our previous tutorial, when you come into overlay mode, it is a contrasty mode. So the bigger the contrast, the stronger the colours appear to be. Let's check again. Again, I could do with that saturation coming down a little bit more. Okay, do it bit by bit. Alright, come back to hue. I want that saturation to come down just a little bit more. Try about there. Now, the next thing, I only really wanted it on the mother's face. So I'm going to come back up to this adjustment layer and I'm going to add a mask. I'm going to come over to edit and I'm going to fill that mask with black. So now it's all invisible. But come to our paintbrush and I want this to be white. So now when I paint in the white areas, you can see that soft focus effect is coming through again. Now, you'll notice that I'm trying to avoid around the eyes. You'll find this all the time when people do this kind of effect. They won't do the eyes because you want that sharp detail. If you notice, you were losing a lot of the sharp detail. I want the sharp detail on the hair, and I want it around the eyes, and ideally around the teeth as well. I just want the skin to be affected. Alright, now let's take a look at this. I've got the area right, but you notice how when the effect is applied, the shadows are getting darker? That's because overlay makes things more contrasty. That's not a problem. We can come back to black and we can paint this masking layer back in. Aren't layer masks wonderful things? It gives you this flexibility. A little bit there. Alright, let's see what we've got now. And now the final thing, whack it down to 0 so you can't see anything, then gradually bring it up and dial in the effect that you want, however much you want. I'm going to go with about, well, fairly high, about 84%. Compare it with the original, compare it with now, you're getting a much more subtle effect, and people looking at this won't say, wow, it looks like a chocolate box. Hopefully they'll just look and say, wow, what a nice picture. Think about a magician. The reason a magician never shows you their tricks is because once they tell you where to look, you'll be looking there and the trick is ruined. It's the same with this. You see me do the effect and you know where it is, so you may be thinking, well, it looks quite unnatural, and now you may be thinking, well, okay, I can see where the effect is. You're a bit of a magician now. If I was to show this to the woman whose child it is, I almost guarantee you they wouldn't be turning around and saying, well, okay, it looks fine, but my skin looks super smooth. All they'll do is say, wow, that's a lovely photograph. Thank you very much. Don't tell people how you do it. They'll just think you're brilliant. Let's take the background layer up to the top. The original. Your new effect. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, maybe you consider clicking on one of the links below and check out my game called Disco Baby, which is on the iTunes Store or Android stores like Google Play. It has 3 different games in it, a memory game, a maths game for children, and a dance along with me game for toddlers to join in with. Thanks for your time.